Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuviknanti ye Bhurita Janaha. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We are on page 119. The Master asked the devotees, especially Narendra, to rest a while, and he himself lay down on the smaller couch. A kind of a siesta, you know. Late in the afternoon, Narendra sang Rakhal, Latu, that's Swami Adbhutananda, M, the recorder of the Gospel, Hazra, and Priya, Narendra's Brahma friend, were present. The singing was accompanied by a drum. That's the tabla. And Narendra could really sing. Meditate, O my mind, on the Lord Hari, the stainless one, pure spirit, through and through. How peerless is the light that in him shines. How soul bewitching is his wondrous form. How dear is he to all his devotees. This is a well-known song and popular also. Chintaya mama manasam hari Chidgana niranjana, etc. And then songs after songs are sung. Narendra also starts playing the kirtan. And first he was singing, and then he was playing the drums. When the music was over, with page 121, Sri Ramakrishna held Narendra in his arms a long time and said, "You have made us so happy today." Yes, Narendra's singing was soul-stirring. And it's not that kind of soul-stirring, you have sad music also that makes you kind of become so, you can say, absorbed. But these are kirtans, that is in praise of the Lord, Hari. And they are joyous. The floodgate of the Master's heart was opened so wide that night that he could hardly contain himself for joy. Yes, this is actually what happens. When you listen to some real elevating music, that music stirs you, gets down to your very depths, inspires you. And every inspiration, if you notice, is joyous. And Sri Ramakrishna was, let's say, immersed in that mood. So as the author says, the Master's heart was opened so wide that night that he could hardly contain himself for joy. Exactly. So it was 8 o'clock in the evening. Intoxicated with divine love, he paced the long veranda north of his room. And he was, as I say, because at times when you are inspired with something, you don't need to sleep. That is, sleep leaves you because the surge of energy is so high. It makes you kind of pace up and down. And this is what happens with, and this is quite common with Sri Ramakrishna. You find him now and then pacing up and there are some people who pace up and down because of they are restless. There are some people who pace up and down because of that upsurge of joy. In fact, they say when Buddha attained enlightenment, he was pacing up and down for 7 whole days. Yes. He couldn't contain that joy. Here with Sri Ramakrishna, he said, now and then he could be heard talking to the Divine Mother. This needs a little explanation. We'll find this all through in the Gospel, that he's talking to the Divine Mother. Just stop for a moment and look at it. We have been so saddled with doubts about the Divine Mother that it has now become as a kind of an, oh, it's an impossibility, or it is non-existent. Sri Ramakrishna's life demonstrates the fact that God can be seen. You can talk to God. Yes. When Swami Vivekananda as Narendra first went to Sri Ramakrishna, he says, yes, who weeps for God? God can be seen, because his question was, have you seen God? Saying, yes. He was unambiguous about this. Yes, I see him more clearly than I see you. Now this is a cue about discussing this point, that he was seeing God, the Divine Mother here, more clearly than he sees external objects. Then what about all this yoga and then this kundalini and this and that? And this comes after that stage is over. When you see the Divine Mother, God, inside and outside. There is no doubt that at one point of time, the idea of internal and external disappear. So he's seeing God and talking to her. That is more real than this reality. So what happens to this reality? This reality pales into insignificance. It's more like a kind of a shadow. You can interact, you can go along, but you know its real nature. It's just a shadow. So this now and then he could be heard talking to the Divine Mother. In our case, what happens, we have a kind of a monologue. We talk to ourselves, and sometimes our self talks back to us. And the whole day, if we are not engaged in work, this thing keeps on happening. The very first thing, all spiritual practices insist that this internal dialogue that you have with yourself has to go. There is no, and that's the reason why every religion and every spiritual tradition recommends that you do repeat the japa, repeat the name of the Lord. So what happens is your mind is now occupied with this, not with your intellect. In fact, this is what consolidates our, as you say, chimerical individuality. We don't really see things as they are. We are seeing things only through the lenses of our own, you can say, ego. So once this goes away, the internal dialogue is replaced with japa, thoughts of God, bhakti or yoga or karma or knowledge, then what happens is these internal perceptions take place. And it's a vast dimension internally. And once you enter into it, at that end stage of that, as I said, the division between internal and external dissolve. So when you see God within, you will see God without also, outside. There will be no difference. Another thing you must notice that M is noticing him pacing up and down the northern veranda. And it's quite a long veranda. He's pacing up and down. He's seeing Sri Ramakrishna pacing up and down. He can see that he's speaking to someone, but he cannot see the Divine Mother. Sri Ramakrishna is speaking to the Divine Mother. That Divine Mother is not visible to M. That's because, as I said, that internal veils have been pulled apart. And in the case of everyone else, those veils are there inside. So it's a concentration of prana. It's a long topic, but just to give us an idea that God is the most tangible of all objects. Yes. Only objects? Yes. The subject as well as the object. And you will see Sri Ramakrishna discussing, everything is you, O Divine Mother. Whatever has been created is you. So it means inside and outside. Then he's saying, suddenly he said in an excited voice, what can you do to me? And now M, he assumes what was happening here. Was the master hinting that Maya was helpless before him, since he had the Divine Mother for his support? Now these are M's words. We don't know, because the Divine Mother is a form of Maya, is Maya. Here, Master Mahasaya has created a distinction between the two. However, he is not wrong, because at times Sri Ramakrishna used to quarrel with the Divine Mother. And he used to say, oh Mother, no, don't tempt me with this. Take this away, take this away. I spit on it. And he used to actually, as it were, spitting. And as if the Divine Mother is going around with whatever she has, she's going to offer it to him, and he is rejecting it. So maybe the Divine Mother as Kali was offering it to him, offering something, and he was rejecting it. So this comes into the very intense state of bhakti, which is called the higher bhakti. The bhakti that we have, the lower forms of bhakti, will not enable us to have this. Here, not only do you see, you talk to the Divine Mother. And the Divine Mother is, as I say, going around with you, walking and offering something, and he's saying, So then M starts, and Narendra, M and Priya are going to spend a night at the temple garden. This pleased the master highly, especially since Narendra would be with him. You see, he had earmarked Narendra, and he had tried to pour in all his realizations into him the very first time. They met at Dakshineshwar. Even Narendra wasn't ready. And as the days passed, the master was molding Narendra to be his voice, as they say, to be his carrier of his message. And so, and when he used to see Narendra, you won't believe it, like he could not, whenever he used to get into samadhi just taking Narendra's name, he could not even say, na, and he used to go into samadhi. Whenever Narendra used to come, he would go into ecstasy. It was that kind of love, that idea that this is the one. And their relationship was wonderful. Oh, each tested the other. Each tested the other's love for. The Holy Mother, that is, Holy Mother is Mother Sharada, who was living in the Nahabat and had prepared supper. Yes, now it was one of mother's work to prepare supper for devotees. And at times it was very troublesome, because those who have seen the Nahabat will know it was a very cramped space, and she had to cook, clean, not only that, use this, it was bedroom, a living room and everything, a small confined space. Even today when you go and look at that, and you are shocked at its, you can say, small dimension. I mean, God, how could only mother could have lived like that way. Surendra, a devotee, Surendra Mitra, bore the greater part of the master's expenses. The meal was ready and the plates were set out on the southeast veranda of the master's room. So here, so because for obvious reasons, you can say all these young men and the M also they were sitting, and it's like a pangat. They sit in rows and somebody serves them. It's not a buffet system. Near the east door of the room, Narendra and other devotees were gossiping. So, and they were talking, I'll just paraphrase this, they were talking about various things, about the youth, how they are engaged with frivolous things nowadays. They've got no depth, and their character also, and they are visiting questionable places, etc. And Sri Ramakrishna did not like this idea of conversation. So he had said, that's not good. And he scolds M, who was there. Narendra, that time he was about 19, and M was about 28. He tells M, you should have more sense than you. You are their senior. The talk should not drift to other worldly things. See, this is how he was training his disciples. And after supper, the devotees rested on the mat, on the floor, and the master began to talk to Narendra, etc. It was the mart of joy. And Sri Ramakrishna, yes, though he was constantly in that higher realm of seeing divine visions, etc., communicating directly, at the same time, yes, he could also transition in this state and behave like all of us. This was discussed in the Great Master, or the Divine Play of Sri Ramakrishna, where Swami Nikhilananda discusses that Sri Ramakrishna's mind never used to come down below his throat, and the most it could come down near the heart and go up again. So his consciousness was on a very high level, where you could interact with this world to some degree. So, and this is what Sri Ramakrishna was doing, and he used to, make fun and games and laughter, etc. And again, they started singing and dancing. And then he's saying, Sri Ramakrishna sang and danced, and the devotees danced around him. When the song was over, the master walked up and down the northeast veranda. Again, he kept on pacing, where Hazra was seated with him. The master sat down there. He asked the devotee, "Do you have dreams?" He asked the devotee, "Do you have?" It's most probably he is asking M itself. And M is like so reticent about saying, "Okay, Sri Ramakrishna asked me." Devotee, "Yes, sir. The other day I dreamt a strange dream. I saw the whole world enveloped in water. There was water on all sides. A few boats were visible, but suddenly huge waves appeared and sank them. I was about to board a ship with a few others when we saw a Brahmin walking over that expanse of water. I said to him, 'How can you walk over the deep?' The Brahmin said with a smile, 'Oh, there is no difficulty about that. There is a bridge under the water.' I said to him, 'Where are you going?' 'To Bhavanipur, that is the city of the Divine Mother.' 'Wait a little,' I cried. 'I shall accompany you.' Master, 'Oh, I'm so thrilled to hear the story.' Devotee, the Brahmin said, 'I am in a hurry. It will take you some time to get out of the boat. Goodbye. Remember this path and come after me.' Master, 'Oh, my hair is standing on end.' Look at horripilation. 'Please be initiated by a guru as soon as possible.' So here, Shriram, most of our dreams are kind of just impressions that we have gathered throughout the day, or maybe throughout in the past also. So those dreams, those impressions, those memories come out, and since the subconscious mind is not under a direct control at all, even our conscious mind is not under our control. Forget a subconscious mind. So in that subconscious mind, memories flow into each other at times. Sometimes memories kind of become dissected, they go, and attach themselves to other things around. So what we see in the dreams is a kind of a hodgepodge, is a mixture of things, which makes no sense at all at times. There have been cultures that have based a lot of mythology, etc., getting inputs from the dream state. In fact, Swamiji says one of the first beginnings of religion in human beings was because of the dream state. They used to get glimpses of things, saying when the body is inert, yet there is something that keeps on working and churning out these things. What is that? The idea of transcendence was the first idea that came and became religion or mythology, etc. So, but in our cases, dreams, and there are dream interpretations and there are dream catchers, and there are hundreds of books written on dreams and the interpretations. Even great psychologists have, till recently, have written about dreams, how to interpret dreams. Here, Sri Ramakrishna is not talking about just ordinary dreams. He says, spiritual dreams are considered real. You take them as real. Now, what happens is, it's a long process, how it happens, etc. So there is something called as if a beam of light comes out from the antaratma, inner self, and projects some spiritual longing or need, and that is being addressed there. So it's an internal light, much deeper and deeper than the subconscious mind. It projects itself in the subconscious mind. And that's why you see it there. This is the spiritual dream. Why? Because Sri Ramakrishna says here, saying, please be initiated by a guru as soon as possible. This is a kind of an indicator of something. That is, a person is walking on the water and the water all over, and then there are other boats and a huge wave comes and it drowns all the other boats, and this devotee is in a ship and he's going, is floating there, and then he sees a man walking on the water, and then they, what's that? So they're saying there's a bridge. These are spiritual interpretations. So that's why, and it can be interpreted by a spiritual person. Okay. Shortly before midnight, Narendra and the other devotees lay down on the bed made on the floor of the master's room. So yeah, they at dawn, some of the devotees were up. They saw the master naked as a child, pacing up and down the room, repeating the names of the various gods and goddesses. His voice was sweet as nectar. Now he would look at the Ganges, now stop in front of the pictures hanging on the wall and bow down before them, chanting all the while the holy names in his sweet voice. He chanted Veda, Purana, Tantra, Gita, Gayatri, Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. Referring to the Gita, he repeated many times, Tagi, Tagi, Tagi. Reversed, it becomes Gita. Now and then he would say, O Mother, thou art verily Brahman, and thou art verily Shakti. Thou art Purusha, thou art Prakriti, thou art Virat, thou art the Absolute, and thou dost manifest thyself as a relative. Thou art verily the 24 cosmic principles. So here, so we have Sri Ramakrishna, in the mornings, he used to be in a very high spiritual mood. And he's chanting the names of the Lord and also speaking about the essential unity of all beings also. He's saying, you are Virat. That is, you are the visible manifestations of that cosmic person. It's called a Virat. And you are Purusha, you are Prakriti, you are the soul, you are nature, you are the relative, you are the absolute. So he's saying Mother has become all the 24 cosmic principles. She is everything. As I said again, repeat it, the internal and external divisions have become blurred. Sri Ramakrishna is seeing everything inside, outside as one. He is removing all the distinctions of smallness, bigness, high, low, male, female, this, that, all these things, and saying, this is all the Divine Mother. Not only this, he says, all the things that are seen in this world that we see has got one thing, differentiation. Everybody is different from everybody else. And every object is different from every other object. And yet, Sri Ramakrishna is seeing that essential unity and speaking about this. As he say, thou dost manifest thyself as a relative. Thou art verily the 24 cosmic principles. So here, he is absolute. In the meantime, the morning service had begun in the temples of Kali and Radhakanta. These are the two temples, big temples there. Sounds of conch shells and cymbals were carried on the air. The devotees came out of the room and saw the priests and servants gathering flowers in the garden for the divine service in the temples. From the Nahabat floated the sweet melody of musical instruments, befitting the morning hours. Yes, it's a kind of you can, M was rather poetic. You can see at dawn, and that's one thing that you will see in and around temples. People busying themselves for the morning worship, collecting flowers, rubbing sandalwood for the paste, etc., etc. And as these concert towers, Nahabad concert towers, they used to have musicians there. Musicians used to sit down there and play the beautiful morning ragas. And so it's extremely powerful. Even today, if you go to Dakshineshwar early in the morning, you will never forget that experience, what you see around, how uplifted you feel. So in the meantime, Narendra and the other devotees finished their morning duties, ablutions, and came to the master. With a sweet smile on his lips, Sri Ramakrishna was standing on the northeast veranda, close to his own room. So there was a kind of semicircular kind of veranda there. Narendra, we noticed several sannyasins belonging to the sect of Nanak in the Panchavati. So Sri Ramakrishna is close to where Sri Ramakrishna's room was. There was that grove of 5 trees called Panchavati. He himself had planted too. And it had a raised platform, and people could sit down there, meditate, even have picnics. The devotees of Sri Ramakrishna used to have picnics there. And so the sannyasins of the Nanak sect, they are called Nanak Panthis, Guru Nanak. They are the sect of, they are generally, you can see, they believe in the formless aspect of God. The master, yes, they arrived here yesterday. Another note, there are various denominations of monks, sannyasins are monks, various denominations. We will say, okay, they are monks, but amongst us, we know who is of which denomination by just looking at them. By the way they dress, or whether they are, you can say, whether they have a top knot or whether they have a kind of long, you can say, hair, whatever. So the master said, yes, they arrived yesterday. I'd like you all to sit together on the mat. As they sat, the master looked at them with evident delight. He then began to talk with them. Narendra asked about spiritual discipline. Master, bhakti, love of God, is the essence of all spiritual discipline. Through love, one acquires renunciation and discrimination naturally. This is today's message. And this has been a constant, you can say, teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, that the means to realize God is this. It is not only the means to realize God, it is the means to acquire anything. Now, devotion, bhakti, has been depicted as weepy, and a person becomes so soft and constantly weeping. This is not ordinary emotions. These are spiritual emotions. And bhakti requires tremendous strength. You have to go through a lot of hard work to acquire that divine love, bhakti. It's not easy. It's not just same plain emotionalism, because this emotionalism will come and go, while bhakti stays and it will keep on increasing and increasing. So what is bhakti? Love for God. And what is love for God? That very love that we have for the fleeting objects of the world, when it is directed towards God, it becomes bhakti. So this is the prayer of Prahlada, that the ignorant, ya priti avivekanam, the ignorant people, when they direct their love to objects, may that kind of undying love be directed towards you. So this is bhakti, and this is the very essence of spiritual discipline. Without bhakti, without this love for God, one can attain nothing. Then what about jnana yoga and karma yoga and this Raj yoga? You have to have love there. It makes spiritual discipline sweet. And then saying, once you have it, then renunciation and discrimination and everything comes by itself. Okay. So we now get an idea. It has to be directed towards God. Now where is God? This has been preached by sages and saints of all classes all over the world. That because you can direct that bhakti towards God which is within, so that God comes out as a human at times, a prophet or an incarnation of God, or the various gods and goddesses that we have. You direct it first to them. This is the primary, or you can say, the beginning stages of bhakti. You do so much japa, you do so much puja, you do so much, you can say, fasting or whatever. These are rule bounds. So it holds and contains a bhakti within limits. And as the fervor grows and grows, the limits are all broken and there's a huge upsurge of devotion. So it needs meditation, it needs japa. It's not simply dancing and singing. People think dancing and singing is only bhakti. No. You need to have extremely strong nerves, and you need to have a strong brain. You got to have a very strong body for bhakti. It's not, as I said, VP makes you soggy. And you keep on dancing and dancing and dancing, and then you're left, as they say, high and dry. So it's a gradual ascendancy of this momentum of bhakti that's directed towards God. We stop here for today. Okay. Take some questions here. Who is M's Diksha Guru? Holy Mother or Thakur? Yes. Holy Mother also had initiated him, gave him a mother. And Thakur had also. So he was that special, you can say, where he got both Holy Mother and. We don't have any questions here, so we can. Yeah. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.